What if you don't bloom with Lauma? This character, if you take a look through, her whole kit, it basically is like, oh, look at this passive. Bloom is converted into Lunar Bloom. What's Lunar Bloom? It's exactly the same as Bloom, except for you get a stack for Lauma's kit or future Nodcry characters. And look at this passive. That's a whole lot of Bloom, Bloom, Bloom. Look at this burst, a bloom damage increase and also lunar bloom damage increase. It's just all bloom. Her burst is functionally useless without doing bloom. And then there's her skill. Look, Verdant Dew, that's from bloom. It's all bloom. Bloom, 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 bloomity bloom, bloom, bloom. So of course, let's try to use Llama without doing bloom. That's the logical thing to do, right? But unfortunately, before I test that, I need to have a word from today's sponsor, Genshin Impact of all things. And yeah, that means Genshin for some reason is sponsoring me to play their characters the wrong way again. But I don't know, it's something I would have done anyway, so win-win for me and it's a win for you. In case you were to aware, Genshin Impact is an open-world role-playing RPG that is cross-platform across mobile, PC, and consoles. And they just released version Luna 1 with their 5th anniversary rewards coming. There are 2 new 5-star characters with patch, Lauma, of course, who this video is about, as well as Flynn's coming out in the second half of the patch. In this version, you can also choose a free character from the standard banner pool. I, of course, chose Dia to get her to C6, and I'm having a lot of fun with her. The anniversary rewards will be given out from September 28th. Other than that, we have the typical, there's a whole new region to explore and new Archon quests, and I will say, this video has been a little delayed in coming out because, I had been spending time playing the video game rather than making content on the video game, and, yeah, so it's good enough that I chose to not make money. On screen, there should be a code that you can use for 60 primogems and a little bit of other stuff. And download link if you want to go download Genshin Impact if you haven't already, or if you want to come back and check it out again after taking a break. But let's get back to the non-bloom Llama. So, how exactly, though, do we do Llama without bloom? Because it seems like this is like a kit restriction that you just don't, right? There are 3 things, though, that Llama has going for her. She's a catalyst unit. That's one big thing about her. And the reason that's important is because Catalyst is like kind of the strongest weapon type in the game for a few reasons. She applies her element, which is her normal attacks. You don't have to like have an infusion with a certain uptime or whatever from pressing her skill. No, she just has her element. But importantly, she also has access to like some really strong combination of buffing weapons in the game. You might be aware of Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers is a 48% attack buff. That's a pretty big buff. There's also gotcha weapons like Wandering Evenstar, which is kind of like Thrilling Tales, but gives a smaller buff, but then distributed to the whole team. Widzith is also a really strong DPS option, and then one of my favorites is Prototype Amber, which can turn Llama into a healer. I think the Catalyst weapon type is just by far the strongest and most fun weapon type in the game. The other thing, we already know this, she's Dendro. You can use her as like a quicken enabler for doing, aggravate Sethos. So you could do, say, Sethos, Sucrose, Fischl, and Llama together. And then the last thing, and this is arguably the biggest thing, I glossed over her skill has this elemental res decrease, which just applies when her skill hits. There is no bloom requirement to this. The opponents hit by Llama's skill have their Dendro and Hydro res decreased by 10 seconds. That means that this is a buff that can apply to any Dendro and Hydro damage. So that means she can amplify your, crit-based damage dealers. So you can play, say, Kanich without a Hydro unit. Bam, you get increased damage from your Kanich's big cannon shots, right? So those 3 things give me some pretty significant confidence that Lauma, without doing, Hyper Bloom or Nilu Bloom or whatever have you that, is technically her number 1 best use case, I think this is a character that will have strong use cases regardless. But I haven't tested most of these things yet, and that's what this video is. We're gonna go play around and we're gonna test things. I want to see exactly how, she is just as a generic enabler. And a lot of people own Nahida, by the way, but there's a couple things that are actually clunky about Nahida in this team, and one is when enemies spawn in like multiple waves, Nahida has to reapply her skill, whereas Llama, when you do her skill, you can see has a little deer that jumps down every couple seconds and applies Dendro. When it comes to a unit like Sucrose, in order to get the Viridescent buff from her, you need to be able to swirl Electro from the enemy, and Lauma applies less Dendro than Nahida, and Nahida's extra Dendro can make it really tricky to actually be able to get the swirl sometimes. This is a difference that I think kind of does matter as far as like the approachability for how easy it is to play characters. So anyways, let's go test it out. Let's do Fischl, you do Swirl, you do, I didn't mean to do that, Bap, and we do this. I should have done Burst first, by the way, but it's fine. And I'm dead. I did forget about the fact that I have no defensive utility in this team. Solution, So, to be clear, that is the problem that happens with Nahida as well. And I mentioned Prototype Ember before. It's already coming in to be relevant. Healing bonus circlet. Also, we don't need her on Deepwood in this team, so unironically, I think for healing utility, it'd be smarter to put her on 4-piece Maidens. Alrighty, let us attempt this again with less being dead. Alright, flap, do that, do this. Alright, bam, and burst, and skill. Go out of the... What? How did you hit me there? That was outside of the indication range. I call it baloney. Alright, bam. And you can end with a couple of charge attacks. And brap. And we can burst and do this. And we heal up. And brap. You went invisible because you're a butthole. Okay. And he's down. Bam. And bam. Oh, come on. There we go. He dead. A little bit clunky. That was maybe arguably my fault, but we ignore skill issues. It's safe to say, though, it worked. I was a little bit on life's edge, but hey, the healing mattered. I was able to survive when I otherwise... there's a very good chance I would not have if I didn't have that. And again, there's more healing potential I could have. This is realistically one of the most boring non-Bloom use cases for Lauma. It's just something I think is worth being aware of. And again, Lauma has the advantage, particularly in like a multi-wave situation, like is in the current Abyss, right? Before we get on to some of the other supportive context, which is more interesting to me, how do you maximize Lauma's own personal damage, including in a non-Bloom context? Now, in a Bloom context, if you're playing something like, say, Nilou or Hyper Bloom or whatever, all you actually really do to maximize her damage is you put some other character that on Deepwood, then you put her on the new Nodcry on-field DPS artifact set, as long as you have 2 Nodcry units in the team. So right now that would most likely mean if you don't have a Nepha, you would use Ino, because you need 2 Nodcry units to get the bonus crit rate from this. So basically, you do Bloom, you play her with Ino, and then you put some crit on her. You would do EM Goblet, EM Timepiece, and a crit circlet, most likely. That's how you maximize your Lauma holy damage. I'm not going to show you that, because that's Bloom. That's not allowed. I am more interested in the stupid thing, which is just spread DPSing, because, again, her skill gives her res decrease. She's probably a better DPS than Baiju. We can do Plunge. Normally we do Plunge with Farina, so again, Bloom. Farina has been made to synergize with too many characters, but it's fine. I can supplant this with Nahida. I can do Nahida and Lauma together, right? I do a C2 Nahida, mind you. So when I play Nahida with an Electro unit, we get Death Shred. C2 Nahida should help with the, we're being stupid. Normally, if you're going to do Plunge Lauma, just play her with Farina, okay? Yonzon will give damage bonus from 4-piece scroll. The attack isn't going to do that much, but it's something. By the way, I do also have C2 Shanyun. For her build, this set gives you stacks of like damage bonus based on having a skill hit. And guess what Lauma's skill is going to be doing? How does that look? 75, 178. This weapon will give us some crit damage. I at least assume because of my constellations, this has to be better than like Sethos, right? Like this is a team you probably shouldn't play, but it's probably better than Sethos. This isn't me slandering Sethos, just that, Sethos was a much lower investment team, so it should perform worse. Oh boy, we'll see. Do that. That's fine. Bap, bap, bap. Okay, bam. And bam. Okay, yeah, it's pretty good. Bam. Yeah, alright, okay. Yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, yep, it works. Crazy. Plunge works. I mean, that's the story of Plunge in general. Should we see what happens if we remove Nahida? Baiju's also going to be technically giving a little bit of a buff here. That is not very significant, but it is a buff. Keep that in mind. And brap. And there we go, 90k. So, I think we were getting like 150k before. But this means you can, play Dendro Traveler or whatever, or you play Baiju if you want. And it's just going to be a little bit worse. Plunge and Lauma is going to be the best way to DPS her, realistically. So with a C0 Shanyun, you should just play with, Farina Shanyun combo, and then play with, like, Kuki. Plunge works. Big surprise. Who knew? Okay, so one thing we gotta at least show quick. Lauma's skill gives Red Shred, but it's Dendro Red Shred and Hydro Red Shred, right? You can, play Lauma with Nuvilette, and she'll buff Nuvilette's talent damage. But it's going to become a Hyper Bloom team plus Nuvilette damage, right? Like, Lauma is good enough for Nuvilette that it's a strong consideration to potentially pull Lauma for Nuvilette, I think, on a meta level, right? Not even just on a shenanigans level. We're not going to do that, though, because that would cause blooms. What we can try with the Hydro unit, who does also benefit from Hydro Red Shred, is Mualani. We're going to use my Mualani with a Sacrificial Jade, and C0 Mualani, of course, with normal build. And part of the idea of this, right, You're using Laumas both for Red Shred and then also, conjoined with a Pyro unit. We get the Burning Aura so that we can easily get Vaporizes for Mualani. But notably, Lauma compared to Nahida having lower uptime on her Dendro application means that her Dendro will stop basically when we're done doing Mualani damage, and then that means we can apply a Hydro that we can then swirl consistently, because that's normally a big downside of trying to do Burning Mualani, is it's hard to actually do a swirl or trigger like this 4-piece scroll buff from Pyro Traveler or Mawika or Shalonen or whoever, right? The problem here for this video is I gotta try to avoid triggering the Bloom reaction, and it's pretty easy to just still accidentally trigger the Bloom reaction on occasion, but it's not, even if I trigger the Bloom reaction, it's not really a Bloom team, right? It's not like the damage is gonna be Bloom, but I gotta do my darndest to avoid the Bloom reaction, okay? I think this is another context, by the way, where you put Lauma on Prototype Amber just so you can have on-demand healing if you need it. Artifact set-wise, even though we don't have 2 Nod Cries, I think it makes sense to use Silken Moon's Serenade. Perfect artifacts for Mawika. Bam. Alright, bap. 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 Oh, I have to do this because I have C1 Mawika. Bam. Alright. And bap. We get all Vaporizes. Bam. Alright. And the burst. Okay, that was a Mualani moment. Yep, it hits walls sometimes. I mean, to be... Oh, we didn't die. We're fine. We're fine. That's why you put Prototype Amber on your Lauma. And then you're not dead anymore. I mean, we're still close to dead, but we're not dead. And despite using Hydro, we did not trigger a single Bloom reaction. It was a success. Ultimately, I just wanted to show you that, you know what? Yep, the Hydro Red Shred can be useful for buffing your Hydro DPS too. And the lower uptime Dendro application can be significant for the next rotation too. I have played with it more on a live stream if you want to check it out, but it's with more unrelatable gameplay because I was using C2 Seat Lolly. We should check the other version 5.0 DPS. Kenichi's Dendro, and Dendro Red Shred buffs Dendro damage. Crazy thought. Yes, his build is still complete. He's using Mawika's weapon. Not the most incredible build or anything in the world, but he's well invested, and I've gotten a decent bit better at playing him. So the interesting thing with Kenichi, of course, is like Lauma versus someone like Emily, right? Lauma's advantage is that she can buff Kenichi more, but she won't be doing damage herself. For artifacts, she'll be back on Deepwood because we want the Dendro Red Shred from Deepwood still, while Prototype Amber is still an option if you want the defensive utility. For maximum buffing potential for the biggest Kenichi damage possible, we want an attack buff. But this time I am going to actually let Mawika do damage, unlike the Instructor's build. Look, it's a pretty good tenacity build. You might think it's weird, but hey, especially if you burst on her, she'll still do damage. You know what? So you should probably play with Bennett. What I'm going to do instead is just switch to Wandering Evenstar, which is going to give an attack buff to the whole team based on her EM. E on Mawika. This team has to be strong enough to kill this thing in one rotation, I think. Unless I screw something up, which might happen. Oh, I didn't get the final E. I should have just bursted. Oh, steal it, Joe. Ah, no, I freeze. We have to be able to get this. Alright, try this again. I believe in myself. Okay. E. Bap. Bap. Alright. Yep. Bam. Bam. Did I miss? Ow, don't die. Oh, okay, do this. Okay, don't die. No, I screwed it up again. Okay, I just need to get 5 E's. It's not that hard. I've practiced this. I need to practice it anyways, because there's going to be a new Stygian coming out, and I might need Kenichi again. Okay, you're going to see a really rare moment on my channel here in a second. I'm going to burst on Mawika, because I want to avoid this annoying crap right at the start here. Also, I want the extra damage bonus from it, because you should technically do that anyways for the damage bonus. Come down. Sir, how dare you? Oh my god. Oh my god, what a rude boy. What a rude boy. He dodged my hit. Oh, this should not be that hard. Look, I've like never fought this boss before. I refuse to let non-Bloom Lauma down. We need to show that she's usable. I mean, clearly the damage we're getting is like, it's very usable, duh. But anyways, whatever, you get the point. Okay. And brap, and brap. I don't know if we got scroll buff that time. We did there. Okay, there we go. No, stop jumping up. This is the most stressed I've felt in Not Cry so far. This is not Lauma's fault. This is Kenichi's fault. And the boss jumping fault. It's my fault. Alright, brap. What I should do, I'm gonna do this. Why? Because I think, yeah, see? That way, we're just sitting in a burst animation, while it's doing its stupid jumping. Bam. All right. Yeah, there we go. I didn't even need 5. I just needed to not be stupid. Perfect. Easy. It really wasn't that hard. I was definitely the issue. So that's really big Kanichi damage, by the way. I don't know right now if that's going to be better than using Emily, but it's definitely, at minimum, a very strong alternative to Emily. In the same vein, I assume this might also be true, but what if we play Tignari? The idea here is I will use Eon Song to give damage bonus for both Yai and Tignari, and then I will just switch to like doing some normal and charge attacks with Yai on field in between doing 3 skills on Tignari. I don't think I'm going to play him because I'm really bad at playing him, and also Alhaitham probably is a character. If you're going to play Lauma Alhaitham, you probably do, you know, Bloom with him, right? You do like Farina, Kuki, Alhaitham, maybe, I guess. Might just be Alhaitham's new best team. I'm not 100% sure of that. This ain't a spreadsheet impact video, but that's worth mentioning. I think, you know, there's just so many teams I wanted to mess around with that we're going to try this team, and we're going to try one more team. All right, yoink to all my Sethos artifacts for Tignari here. It's been a little while since I played him. Okay, we're going to fight Mr. Dorito again. Why? Because I'm clearly having skill issues, so I need an enemy that stays still. Bap. And bap. Should I Yai? No. I do this. Do this. Do this. Bap. Oh, this is too much damage. Okay. I'm not even going to be able to do another bout. Okay. That was stronger than I thought it was going to be completely honest. We're going to try fighting Bronzelock. Bronzelock's a little bit annoying as far as because he gets resistance up, but let's see. If he gets a letter resistance, that'll be fine. I want to see what the Tignari damage is. Alright, tap, tap, tap. Alright, and bam. Yeah, that's pretty good damage. I just missed. Good job. 44k. That's some really big spread damage. And then normally I would burst on Yai here if I had it available, but I don't, so instead I just do this, right? And then you would do this. Oh, I could have switched back sooner. It has Dender resistance now, but yeah, okay. Alright, okay. I'm kind of remembering what I liked so much about the Tignari Yai dynamic immediately with, you know, the quick swappiness of swapping between them, and you know what? I've decided it. This team gets to stay in my team list, particularly because there's just a lot more team slots now. It even deserves a name. Lauma. No. 2 foxes and a deer. We're gonna go fight a friend that I have not fought in a while and probably die, but I think he's gonna be interesting. Hello, my friend. Well, you're not my friend. I kind of, yeah. Anyway, what? I did that because I was scared, to be honest. And you know what? Maybe it was a good kind of scared. Okay, do that. All right. Bam. Tignari, you missed. Don't die. Okay. Pro tip, you can shoot at the ground if you don't know where to shoot when you're fighting a small, tiny boy. Oh, I did not properly do that. Okay. Bam. 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 Okay, we're going to do this. I think we really should have reset buffs. I think Lauma is not up, but it's fine. I didn't need to do that. I think, okay, against a really scary boy, Proto Amber is the way. I just realized I have Wandering Evenstar still on her, and that's not doing that much for the team. I would much rather have tankiness, but I haven't died yet, so, you know, and he is scary. Brap, 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 brap. Okay. Oh, he's jumping up and down, easy. Alright. Hey, that hit. Oh, you hid in your tent. How dare you hide in a tent? He's avoiding damage by in a... Okay, all the stress of fighting Rocky is coming back to me, but come back from the dead. We dodged it, it's fine. Alright, bam. Okay. Bam. 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 Okay. Uh-oh. No! Oh, okay. Well, for what it's worth, we failed. I think that was a success. We could have had more tankiness by putting Proto Amber on her. It's funny how many situations with non-Bloom Lauma I'm just like Proto Amber, Proto Amber. This is another Proto Amber, the video. Sorry. Well, look, being able to turn your character into a healer who isn't a healer is a cool thing, okay? Anywho's. The red shred is the important uptime we care about here, right? And that lasts for 10 seconds since her skill hits, so functionally her red shred has like a 25-second uptime, so you really don't have to worry about. So that's important in the context of this team being kind of quick swap, and it doesn't have like a consistent rotation you always are going to do because, you know, Yai Burst is restricted to being used at most every 22 seconds. So this is the kind of team where it doesn't follow a set pattern the same way other teams do. And Lauma's uptime on her red shred buff is important for that, I would say. And it's just much more important to switch to Tignari every 12 seconds to do 3 charge attacks and his burst and use Yai's burst when it's available, more than it is to do a consistent rotation. Probably my favorite team of the video, unless it gets beaten by the next one. So we're still going to use Eons on. But someone I have not played in a while is DPS Cat. So of course, she's Dendro. And for Kirara, she has a big ol' like 1200% multiplier on her burst. That big ol' multiplier means you can get some big satisfying nuke damage from her, right? And Lauma should enable an even bigger nuke damage from her. We are going to use Kirara's signature weapon, as you can tell, just based on the look of it. This gives her a bunch of crit damage. It also gives her skill damage bonus, so her cat box form will do more damage. And the HP, you might say, doesn't do anything for her damage, but she actually has a passive that converts HP to damage bonus for her. That's why this has HP. That's why it was made for her and no other character. Okay, that's a little bit low crit rate, but overall, 4-piece noblesse. I think people are going to be like, that's a support set, but it gives 20% burst damage bonus and 20% attack. Okay, hello Dorito friend again. Bap. Oh, I don't have energy on you. That's not ideal. Alright, Bap. We'll do this. And Bap. Oh wait, what did I do? Oh wait, 50k, but 200k? Oh my. Okay, that's the first time I've seen 200k. I don't know why I ended the cat box mode. That was dumb. Dumb rotation. But, Bap. That is the first time I think I've seen 200k from Kirara without doing, you know, Bennett with her. I'm not fully recommending this team or anything, but anyways. Bap, 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 bap. Okay. And bam. Yep, 230k, let's go. And then all the little bomb explosions. Oh, she's so fun to... Bap. I didn't crit on the last hit. Oh, no. How dare I? Alright, bam. It's fine. It would have been dead if I crit, though. Oh, what a mess. And oh, it already died. I just wasted that. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. The satisfaction of Kirara is like big number hit, and then all the bombs exploding after on a boss that has a big hitbox is it's really fun. Is it amazing? No, it's not like she's doing Kaniche numbers. It's equivalent to like one Kaniche, and Kaniche does 4 of those. But more red shred buff makes her stronger. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you want to see a full DPS Kirara video revisit. And I did think that this was going to be the last team, by the way, but I had one more realization, which I can't believe I forgot this. One of my favorite characters in the game, Emily. She's a Dendro damage dealer. Dendro red shred. Yep, we can just do... Should we just do more attack buffing? Should we just use Eons on and Bennett? With their descending height order? Oh, I almost forgot. I do need to change her build. So, Reverie. Yep, a little bit less crit rate than I had before. E... Get Pyro going, then Lauma, then do you, and then do you, and then you. Alright. And what are we getting? 105? What the frick? Holy, what in the... Alright, yeah, that's some big Emily damage. Alright, that's a good way to end the video. I think most of these teams that we tried are, you know, ultimately just silly things. You know, they're not going to be super compelling in Stygian Onslaught. I like doing silly things like this, and it's just a matter of finding the content where I can use these kinds of teams. And like most of these teams, I will tell you, did enough damage that I could clear Abyss with them. It also really matters what options you have for the other side of the Abyss, but also Abyss cycles are like really restrictive for like element mechanics. I think it is at least safe to say that Lauma can very much be a compelling buffer for non-Bloom context, even if some of the team contexts we tried, such as like if you're DPSing Lauma, you should just do Bloom things with her, right? Like you shouldn't just say no Hydra if you want to DPS Lauma. I don't think that actually makes sense. At the end of the day, do whatever makes you happiest and whatever is fun to you. That was the whole goal, was just me trying silly ideas and seeing how it worked. And honestly, I don't think any of them had any severe problems. The ideas worked as well as I thought they would in my head. If you want some of my really quick condensed thoughts on Lauma, like I have tested her with, you know, her intended Bloom context. This character is just really strong, I will say. Strong to a degree that it makes me concerned on the progression of the game as far as balance of character kits go. But for a lot of people, including me to some extent, it's not like I don't completely hate this. It's just like, you know, I'm conflicted about it. Is, you know, the fact that they've been releasing, I'd say, on average, stronger units over time. And I would say Lauma is another one of these units, particularly as a support. She's a stronger support than we would have seen released if she was released 2 years ago, right? She wouldn't have as big of numbers as she has. That's kind of where I stand on her kit. and she probably will have a very good amount of staying power, but I don't know how much staying power, right? And again, with how Stygian Onslaught, Abyss are made to incentivize very specific mechanics, and this character really wants you to use Hydro with her. If they make a Stygian Onslaught and Abyss that really doesn't want you to use Hydro on any of the bosses or whatever, that's just how the game kind of works right now, but that doesn't mean you won't be able to get enjoyment from her elsewhere, right? But for now, this character is extremely strong and has the ability to uplift with Hydro and without many teams and older characters, and that's a hallmark for a character that for me was worth pulling for, and I'm glad I got lucky for her because, well, I don't need to talk about my pulls, but I did get lucky getting Lauma C1 if you didn't see the video, and this is not that strong of a constellation, but we did see teams even in this video where I wasn't having that much survivability, although you do need Bloom actually to have the healing, which is a little unfortunate. So this does nothing. This does nothing in a non-Bloom context. But anyways, you get the point. Lauma's a pretty good character, and she has other aspects some people might enjoy. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.